Welcome back to Believe in KC. We have a very special guest with us today, House Minority Leader Ashley Aune. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. This is one of our very first episodes, so we're coming out firing. We can get into it here in a minute, but how would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Ashley Aune, I'm the House Minority Leader in the Missouri House of Representatives. I represent a district in Platte County, which includes Zona Rosa, Weatherby Lake, and Lake Waukomis.
And that's a relatively newly Democratic district, too, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. My district flipped blue in 2018 by just 85 votes by my predecessor. He served one term, and so I ran in 2020. I've held on to that seat for the last 3 terms. I hope to do so for one more, and then I'll be termed out of the House.
And if I recall, not just held on to that seat, but ran the score up a little bit better each
Yeah,
time.
yeah. I'm hoping to win by double digits this year.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so a big, broad question to start. Dare I ask, what did you guys do in Jeff City this year?
Well, shockingly, we did a lot more in Jeff City this year than I've ever done in my 6 years. We had an incredibly productive session just in terms of the number of bills passed, which depends on how you look at it, is a good thing or a bad thing. As a member of the super minority, I often say that the fewer bills we pass in Jefferson City, the better it is for Missourians.
I said that all the time. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah. However, I will say I think we got a lot of good bipartisan stuff done this year. Certainly, plenty of what we do is partisan. With a supermajority, there's not much incentive to work across the aisle, but we got some good things done, and we got some concerning things done.
So my opinion was always that just spending a lot of time in the Northland like you, regardless of people's politics, they generally want us to work together and get things done.
Yep.
And I've always been really proud about how the Northland delegation is able to go down there and generally solve problems. Not always, but for the most part, work together and solve problems. And I've been gone for 4 years at this point, but it seems like our Northland delegation still does a good job of finding common ground.
Absolutely. It's one of the things I'm most proud of in the legislature is that our bipartisan Northland delegation is constantly working together with so much contention in the state house. I'm grateful that I can call up my colleagues across the aisle and always work towards a solution.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I'm glad to hear that is still happening. So let's start off with some wins for you. And, when we served together over 4 years ago, you were working on this bill so that a pregnant woman could get divorced, which is archaic and insane that was still on the books. There wasn't a ton of interest in your bill early on. I think you've got some news on that.
Yeah, it passed this year.
It's amazing.
The governor signed it into law, and I'm really, really proud of that. It's a bill that I wrote 4 years ago, it was in partnership with Synergy Services. I did a tour there with Senator Maggie Nirenberg. She was a representative at the time, and they talked to us a little bit about, what they're seeing, with their clients. And a lot of a trend that they were seeing is this reproductive coercion, where a partner will keep their partner pregnant in Missouri so that they cannot get divorced because the Missouri judges were not finalizing divorces if someone was pregnant. It's literally on the questionnaire when you go to file for divorce, are you pregnant or is your partner pregnant? It was, like you said, archaic and very frustrating. And it's not just about protecting women here, although that's a huge part of it. I heard from men who served overseas who experienced infidelity in their marriage and then weren't able to end the marriage because their partner was pregnant by somebody else. And so this is something that I think, is good for folks across the board. And I got a lot of support from folks once it was moving and finally got passed.
Well, that's incredible. Thank you for your work on that. And I will tell you, when I was a prosecutor, it wasn't uncommon to be on a small docket with some criminal and some family law. And you would hear the questions just for the default divorces, just the same questions every single time. And I would hear that question and think, what on earth are we doing? And
what
then,
does it matter?
Yeah, it was just so. I'm glad you got that across the
Yeah.
finish line. That's
Thanks.
wonderful. I know we've got several ballot questions here that you probably get asked about all the time. And let's lead with Amendment 5. And would you remind everyone what Amendment 5 is?
Absolutely. Amendment 5 is the governor's income tax scheme to raise our sales taxes an astronomical amount, but frankly, an unknown amount in the future. So the governor proposed in his State of the State this year that we eliminate Missouri's income tax, which makes up about 2/3 of our general revenue. So you can imagine what a hole that would put in our budget. About $9 billion is what's estimated. and we're going to have to make that revenue up somehow. What they're not telling you, though, is that the ballot measure that they're asking you to vote on in August includes basically an override of the Hancock Amendment for the next 5 years, which the Hancock Amendment is what protects Missourians from their legislature just raising their taxes willy-nilly. And this would allow the legislature to raise sales and use taxes on any goods and services for the next 5 years.
That is a great explanation. And of course, who doesn't hear I'm going to have my income taxes reduced and kind of get excited about it? So it's important to talk about the
Right,
details.
absolutely. And what's frustrating is the argument we hear over and over again from Republicans in the legislature is that this is going to help Missouri grow. They point to Tennessee and say they have no income tax. Look how much they're growing. Well, what they don't tell you is that before they reduced their income tax, it only made up a very tiny portion of their general revenue in the state. So it wasn't a huge hit, where this would be a huge $9 billion hit to our
And
revenue.
they also have a massive tourism industry that we don't have, too.
That's exactly right. They compare us to Florida often. And Representative Steve Butts made a great point in the hearing. He said, Branson is no Orlando. We just can't compete.
I haven't heard Steve say that. The thing that I worry about in Kansas City specifically, if we reduce the income tax, we replace that with the sales tax, we're right on the state line. And if the sales tax is significantly lower in Kansas for the same goods or services, people are just going to go across the state line and shop. So I really worry about the impact on small business, specifically in our region of the state.
No, absolutely. And that's been something that I've been talking about since this plan rolled out, is as someone from Kansas City and someone who grew up in Kansas. And I know that our state line is very permeable. It is not, people barely notice it, right?
Yeah.
It is nothing for a Missourian to cross state lines to take their purchases there, and vice versa. So that's a huge concern. The other concern that I have is the effect it has on seniors. Over the last several years in the legislature, we have made efforts to reduce the income tax burden, not only by just reducing income tax writ large for Missourians. We've eliminated the income tax burden for seniors on Social Security, which means that seniors who don't currently pay an income tax are absolutely going to see their cost of living rise when the sales and use tax goes up. And not only is the sales and use tax rate going to go up, we are going to be taxed on more things that we're not taxed on right now. And that includes services. So we're talking, auto repair, haircuts, childcare, healthcare, all of these things, agriculture services, all of these things are likely to be taxed moving forward. And that's just not something Missourians are burdened with right now.
No, that makes sense to me. Okay, so you're going into your second term as the minority leader, right?
Yeah. Well, hopefully.
Yeah, okay. You don't. Yeah, I'm going to assume that's going to happen. And so which would make you one of the longest serving minority leaders in decades.
Yeah, it's hard to even say that, considering I'm coming after Crystal Quaid, who served for 6 years, and that was my only experience of a minority leader previously. But yeah, having more than 2 years, frankly, when we have 8-year term limits, is a lot.
When I think having 2 leaders over a decade is good, right? Because you just turn over the term limits, just make the turnover just constant.
Yeah, it's constant. Having
that
continuity of leadership is important with an ever-changing legislature.
And so you're going into your second term as minority leader. What do you think the relationship between the state and the city of Kansas City should be like as the minority leader, not as a state rep from Black County?
Yeah. So as a minority leader, my ideal situation is that the state works well with our local municipalities. I am someone who believes deeply in, working across the aisle, working to find solutions, regardless of party, regardless of, ideology. When our community faces a problem, figuring out how to work to solve it is absolutely our job as lawmakers. And it's what our voters expect us to do. And so, one thing I've seen down in Jefferson City is this real push and pull between our red state and our blue cities, specifically Kansas City, Springfield, Columbia, St. Louis, right? And that gets really frustrating. It causes a lot of roadblocks and a lot of impediments to actually solving problems. And so my ideal situation would be that our governor and our city leaders build these relationships and find ways to work together a little bit better, because that only makes Missouri stronger when our cities are thriving.
And no, 100%. And on the social issues, we're just not going to be aligned as big blue cities in a red state. There's no getting around that. However, you've got workforce development, you've got public safety, you've got transportation infrastructure. That's stuff that Republicans and Democrats want and like and need. And I always hate it when the social issues get in the way of solving those day-to-day problems for people.
No, absolutely. People focus so much on the things that divide us, and they don't focus on the things that bring us together. And I think that, having strong leadership at the state and the local levels is what does that. Is what makes Missouri better.
And I'll pivot back to our Northland delegation on that too. I think, especially transportation infrastructure, we've gotten some good projects done and funded through the legislature because we're able to work together and focus on what's important to everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm bouncing around a little bit, but I know I've gotten the questions even in my office at City Hall about healthcare coverage and Medicaid. And I know there's some real concerns that a lot of people are going to fall off the rolls here pretty soon. Would you tell us what's going on there?
As usual, Missouri is constantly looking at ways to disenfranchise low-income folks across the state. And one of the ways we do that is through healthcare coverage. It's so disappointing to see constantly. You'll remember in 2020 when Missourians voted for Medicaid expansion, and then we turned around and got back to the legislature, and we heard explicitly our colleagues say into a microphone, "I'm proud to vote against the will of my voters." And that is so crazy, right? So we face this opposition in the state house to providing quality, affordable health care to folks. And one of those things is through Medicaid. So yeah, there's a deep concern that folks are going to fall off the rolls. What I would recommend is that folks reach out to their state level elected officials, their state senator and their state representatives. If they're worried or if they're facing a reduction in benefits, reach out and make sure that you're in contact with those offices, because we are the folks who can help you. We can connect you with the department. We can look into your case specifically and really help folks navigate this deeply frustrating bureaucratic process.
And it is pretty easy to find your state rep or your state senator online. Just quick Google search.
Absolutely. Secretary of State's website is a good place to do that too.
I'll tell you something that I didn't appreciate until I actually got to the city council was the direct impact on providers on issues like this. So one thing we're dealing with at City Hall right now is, okay, we're anticipating a lot of uninsured people that used to have access to insurance, right? And they go through some really, Sam Rogers, University Health, Swope, KC Care. I start naming these agencies that are deeply concerned about the cuts to what they do, right? And so now that falls on the local government to provide services that people were getting in other places. So it definitely impacts our city in a way that's going to be really challenging.
Absolutely. It's one of those things that I joke a lot about. Republicans like to talk about trickle-down economics. I talk about trickle-down repercussions of Republican policies, and this is one of them. It burdens our local municipalities when our federal and our state governments, fail folks at every level.
Yeah, and it's tough, and there's only so much to go around, and we end up making hard decisions at the local level as well because of that.
Yep.
Okay, so what does Kansas City do that actually helps you in Jefferson City, and what do we do that makes your job harder?
Well,
and I've got my opinions too, but I want to read yours first.
Well, the thing I think that Kansas City does best is that it is an incredible example of what to do, just in terms of how we showcase ourselves on a national and international scale. And I think that the FIFA World Cup has just been such a phenomenal example of that recently. We're really good at showing the world why Kansas City is so special. We've done it, when the Royals were winning the World Series, when the Chiefs were winning the Super Bowl. Kansas City comes together, and there are folks who visit this city that say, man, I don't visit many cities where so many folks in the city are just so proud of where they live. And I am so proud of Kansas City. I say all the time, being in the legislature, with a bunch of colleagues, in my caucus at least, I will say about half of us are from St. Louis, about half of us are from Kansas City. Few folks in Springfield and Columbia, of course. But, I'm always so proud of how well Kansas City is represented, not only on the state level, but here locally. We just do a great job of showcasing who we are and what we can do. And that makes my job easier in Jefferson City because I'm just so proud of the area I represent. And I can point to Kansas City and say, hey, St. Louis, what if you did it this way? We're doing this right.
Mm-hmm. I love that. So I will tell you, having the World Cup here the last few weeks, I've seen several of our rural colleagues over, old friends, people. It's been great to see them, but several of our rural colleagues from all over the state coming to Kansas City to enjoy soccer, something that I know for a fact we haven't watched a lot of in rural Missouri over the years,
Right.
and or urban Missouri for that matter, other than our friends in St. Louis. And so it's been so cool to see people from all over the state coming to Kansas City to see what a world-class city looks like, and I think we've done a pretty good job of that.
Absolutely. I think that we've given folks an incredible experience here. We've shown everyone what the best of our city looks like, and frankly, what the best of our people look like. Being at FanFest, the vibes are so good. They were amazing. It's so cool to be around.
Yeah, and it is, and it really brings people together. I'm curious. Hopefully, we can keep that momentum going for longer.
I hope so.
Okay, so what does the rest of Missouri get right about Kansas City?
Kansas City, I think, has a pretty solid reputation. One of the things that I think that if you're in Jefferson City, a lot of folks will say that St. Louis has some East Coast vibes, and Kansas City has more, Midwest, West Coast vibes. And I think that that's one thing we do well here is that we just kind of blend this Midwest nice with the innovation and the forward thinking of folks who, came before us, right? Generations before us who are moving across this country, trying to find something better, trying to build something better. And I think that spirit and that grit is here in Kansas City. And I love that. And I'm so proud of it.
And couldn't agree more. And it's fun to think. I think the next 5 to 15 years, we're going to see a lot more of that, maybe more than we've seen in a long time.
I hope so.
And with some help from some of your colleagues, I think, too. So you've got at least, by my count, 3, is that right, that are looking to come back from the State House to the City Council?
That's exactly right. Emily Weber, Mark Sharp, and Michael Johnson are all, they are not even termed out of the House, which to their credit, they saw the opportunity to run for City Council, and they understood that the Missouri House Democrats this year are bending over backwards to flip enough seats to end the supermajority. We need 3 seats to end the supermajority, and these 3 said, "I am not going to run for my final term in the House and then leave the seat a year in to serve on City Council, and jeopardize those gains." And so these 3 have seen the opportunity in Kansas City. And honestly, I think that what's really impressive is that they understand. I think that they're running for city council because they understand that connection between the state and the city, and they want to strengthen it. And that's why, I'm so excited to see folks who have spent some time in Jefferson City coming to City Hall and saying, "Hey, I've seen how things work down there, and I think that there are some ways that we could work a little bit better with our partners in Jefferson City."
Well, 100%. And I'll add those 3 particular are pretty well liked down there, too. So
Absolutely.
they'll be able to come to Kansas City and realize what's possible, and also what fights probably aren't very good ones to pick, because we're going to end up getting thumped if we pick those, right? And
That's
then,
exactly right.
And then when they need to go fight for something we believe in, they're going to be able to get in the room and have people actually listen to it.
Absolutely. And the 3 of them all have leadership roles, right? So Emily Weber is the chair of the House Democratic Caucus. Michael Johnson is the chair of the Missouri Legislative Black Caucus. Mark Sharp is the only Democratic chairman of a committee in the Missouri House. And they all have incredibly impressive resumes, and I'm so excited to see what they do in City Hall.
Yeah, I had a good experience with Mark this last year on, you got Blair's Law done 2 years ago, and then this year getting the monitor on the first time DWI.
Yep.
And so we put that in our priorities at City Hall for our legislative priorities, and I think that that's a good example of what you get when you get a state lawmaker coming into City Hall, is he was the one pushing that, and I think I like to believe that was helpful. So it's been anyway, it's a good example of what they can do when they understand how both sides of it works.
Yeah.
And, Michael Johnson, I'm not sure I should say this on my podcast, but Michael Johnson was one when my last term, his first term, he was directly above me in the mezzanine, and man, oh man, there were some swear words coming out of his office.
Well, that people would say the same thing about my office.
I know, same. I said, you say a lot of bad words in your office. He goes, well, I'm hearing the same words from down below too. So anyway, I sure enjoy all 3 of them, and selfishly, I'm excited to get them back into Kansas City.
Yeah, frankly, I'm surprised that story wasn't told about Emily Weber.
Yeah, I know. Easily ask my kids who listen to Emily on the phone quite a bit on the Bluetooth, and they probably would tell that story. So what would you like to see Kansas City working on this next term in Jefferson City? Is there a place where Kansas City can be valuable?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think that finding all of the opportunities to work together, but also finding the opportunities to not work against each other. I think that we often see, again, this push and pull between the state and the city, and it looks like, removing local control
Hmm.
from our municipalities, things like that. I really would love for my colleagues in Jefferson City to recognize the importance of local control and leaving some of our
Hmm.
municipalities alone and allowing our duly elected, aldermen, city councilmen, county level folks do what they were elected to do and not mess with it.
Well, now, and again, as someone who spent time in the legislature, it's one of the things I liked about our state was how diverse it is, right? So you get field grown cotton in southeast Missouri,
Yep.
and then you've got big East Coast St. Louis, and then you've got Midwestern Kansas City and Branson, and I mean all these great parts of our state that are
Mhm.
great to visit, great people, and we ought to lean into that instead of trying to make it all uniform. So for me, that's why I
Absolutely.
always like local control is let your part of the state reflect the values of your part of the state,
Right.
and then we all come together and really celebrate the fact that there's a lot going on.
Absolutely. Branson may not be Orlando, but let Branson be
We
Branson.
have we have a lot to be proud of down there. My
Yeah,
my kids absolutely love it, and we've got a lot to be proud of in Kansas City
of
too. But
course.
sometimes you just got to let us do our thing,
Yeah, you gotta
and
let Kansas City cook.
yeah, right. And you see what happens with the World Cup, right? And
Absolutely.
it's been a smashing success by any
I know.
definition.
I think that there were some naysayers too. I think people
Yeah,
doubted whether Kansas City would
yeah.
rise to the occasion. And man, I think we went above and beyond.
Well, any local official who says they weren't nervous is lying. We were all absolutely terrified, and now that I mean, we and by the way, I say it's over now. It's not because England and Argentina are still playing,
Mhm.
and Messi is still sleeping every night down at the Berkeley Riverfront,
I know.
and
I
Harry
know.
Kane is still down on the state line, and they're still practicing at Swope Park. And for that to be going on, and to have one of those teams would have been wild, but to have both of
Yeah.
them playing each other in the semifinals, it's great
So
for our
special.
city, and it's still happening. And I don't think I've told you this yet, actually. So I randomly ran into a World Cup reporter from England, like an English soccer
Hmm.
reporter. Said he's covering his 10th World Cup, and he went on and on about how Kansas City's just been his favorite base camp and how much he's enjoyed it and how much he's liked the people. And
That's so cool.
I said, well, I hope you decide to come back and tell some investors to come back too. And it's a lot. The
Yeah,
cost of living is a lot better here than it is in other parts of the country. He agreed. We'll see what they do, but it was just nice to hear him just so genuinely impressed by our part
absolutely.
of this country
Yeah.
for
Well,
sure.
and this again, it put us on the international stage, right? And so I think
Hmm.
that the opportunities that are going to come out of this, folks who have finally seen what Kansas City can offer, and they're going to bring that home to their country, and hopefully, yeah, hopefully some partnerships come out of that. Hopefully some real long-term relationships come out of it.
Yeah, no, I think they will too. So if Kansas City had the perfect relationship with Jefferson City, what would that look like?
Well,
And you
I
can't just say a Democrat governor.
well, if the Democrats ran the show, no, no, I think that an ideal relationship looks like the state, uh, not spending so much time coming down on Kansas City. I think that one of the things that Kansas City faces, one of the challenges we face, is the fact that we're constantly defending what we're doing here on the state level because we're getting attacked for it. We're getting preempted with state statute. And, if Kansas City local elected officials were just free to do what they do and to represent their community and to make Kansas City better without the threat of Republicans in Jefferson City saying, no, you can't do this or we know better, I think that frees up Kansas City to be even more innovative and to do even more impressive things on a national and international scale.
Well, and there's some good examples of that too, right? So you've got, well, the World Cup is a good example because the state did contribute significantly to that, and they
Yes.
had this great experience for the city and for the state.
Yeah, absolutely.
My colleague Rena Park Shaw got some legislation done for some cost sharing on childcare this year, and
Yes.
that's a terrific contribution from the state.
No, absolutely. It's finding those opportunities to build the relationships, right? And again, having folks who have served in Jefferson City, serving in City Hall, is a huge step in the right direction for that partnership, that state and local partnership, to be more successful.
And I'll tell you one thing that we could never get done without the state. I would love to see the streetcar go north of the river.
Ugh, from your lips to God's ears.
Wouldn't
No,
that be great?
absolutely. It
Yeah.
would be incredible. I mean, we're already seeing it go all the way down to UMKC, which, that's huge, right? I've got a stepdaughter who is considering UMKC when she graduates high school, and those are the things to me that I think are really exciting. If we've got kids taking a second look at our universities
Hmm.
because they have better access to
Yeah.
transportation and housing and things like that, Kansas City can grow leaps and bounds in those areas with a streetcar expansion
And,
north
and,
of the river.
and UMKC is such a special school, and now, like you said, you got the streetcar there, and you
Mhm.
got the health campus too,
Yeah,
right there. So you got the dental school, the medical school, the great nursing program there, and then you can take the streetcar past the plaza to a beautiful urban campus. And any chance we get to convince more of our kids to stay local, I think that's a win again for both the city and for the state. So hopefully
absolutely.
the state continues to invest in UMKC, and it's been good. The last few years been really good. UMKC's got good leadership. I think the state's been pretty open-minded there, and I think we're seeing the windfall from that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll tell you one thing, as a Mizzou fan and a KU fan, one thing we can all get behind is UMKC basketball, right? And it's something that,
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
January and February and it's cold out, and we
Yeah.
can all do our own thing, in to the east and to the west. But, we got a brand new basketball coach at UMKC, and he's a KU guy, and he's a winner, and there's no doubt in my mind that he's going to bring some big crowds to Municipal. No matter what other teams you root for, we can all root for UMKC.
For
And I
sure.
think that'll help the whole city too. So I'm really excited.
No, absolutely. And thank you for blowing up my spot on the KU thing.
No, he's a winner, and I'm
Yeah.
really excited to see what happens there. But that's also, something that I'm a big believer in is KU, K State, Mizzou, Iowa State, Nebraska. I mean, and not just the big schools. In any school that's within a couple of hours from here, Kansas City is the epicenter of culture and economic activity and jobs. So, if we're doing our job right in Jeff City and at City Hall, we're doing things that attract these college graduates to
Absolutely.
Kansas City.
Right.
And that means a vibrant downtown. That means having the World Cup. But it also means, and this is where you come into play big time, is really strong suburbs with good public schools and safe streets. And you live in a district that's delivered on a lot of those promises. And you've led that district for years at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so important that it all works together. And, someone who grew up in the suburbs and, I looking at Kansas City, downtown Kansas City in the 90s, I was like, ugh, I don't, is that where I really want to be? But by the time I graduated from college, and it was around 2008 that I really started thinking, okay, am I going to stay in Kansas
Yeah.
City? And I started looking at the city transforming and just
Hmm.
becoming what it is today.
Hmm.
And it's just been so impressive. The transformation has been amazing. And it's, Kansas City is a place where people want to be. It's a place where people want to stay. And I think that that's huge for future generations of Missouri
Yeah,
too.
for sure. And then on that same topic, I-70, that's a good example of when we work together. Now, it's frustrating if you're driving on I-70. It's frustrating if you're trying to cross the Buck O'Neill Bridge at times.
Yep.
But that's money that's coming mostly from the state. There's local contributions there. I know that we got a couple of bridges getting torn up on the east side of Kansas City right now. And I know you drive these routes all the time, either campaigning or going back and forth to Jeff City. What is the drive like right now from Kansas City to Jeff City? I haven't done it
It's not
for a
great.
while.
And I've been doing a lot of just Kansas City to St. Louis and back
Oh,
recently
yeah, of
too,
course.
which is whew.
Well, yeah. What are both of those drives like?
Yeah, it's rough, man. I mean, it is, it's a lot of white knuckling, no shoulders between like a concrete barrier and a semi. But it's worth it because,
Yeah.
honestly, it's going to make things so much better, so much smoother, transportation across the state, not only for, folks like you and I, but for semis, for folks who are moving goods through our state. I mean, I-70 is such an important route in terms of just logistically moving goods and services throughout the country, and Kansas City is a huge hub, and that's going to make things a lot easier, both for everyday Kansas Cityans and Missourians, but also for our businesses.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what. So when is 70 supposed to be done?
Ugh, that's a good question. I'm not sure.
I think it's 2031, but
Okay.
I'm not sure either.
Yeah.
And then you've got great rail or great highway system here, but then we're also a rail center, and we've also got an underappreciated river here. So we do have a chance to be a logistical capital of North America if we lean into that. And I think,
Absolutely.
and again, that's something you do in Kansas City and Jeff City work together, and I think we can do big things there.
That's right.
Speaking of 70, there's some, that's great. We need to be able to get to and from St. Louis, But a question I get asked all the time is, when are we going to get better rail service between Kansas City and St. Louis? And that's and then you bring the feds in for that one too. But I
Right.
think if we were to develop actual, and I take the Amtrak. I take it several times a year. I enjoy it, but it's long. It's unreliable. It's the internet doesn't always work that well. So I think if we were to figure out a way to get real legitimate rail service from Kansas City to St. Louis, that it would be successful and people would use it, and it would help some of the congestion on 70 probably too.
Absolutely, it would. I am a huge proponent of more rail. I think that that is absolutely, not only what I think Missouri and Kansas City needs. I think it's what the whole country
No,
needs.
yeah,
I mean,
100%.
we're a huge country, so I know that we can't accomplish what European countries have done in terms of rail and high speed rail. But we have opportunity here. We can do better. And I would certainly love to be able to, hop on a train and have multiple options. There are times when I have one or two meetings in St. Louis in an afternoon, and I think, oh my God, am I going to have to drive 8 hours
Yeah.
round trip in one day?
On 70 while
On
it's under
70,
construction.
right. It's tough, but man, I could get so much done if I
Oh
felt
yeah,
like I had reliable,
yeah, for
rail
sure.
options for
Yeah,
sure.
but the last time, and again, I like the Amtrak. I'll use it again. But the last time I did it took 7 hours. And
Oof.
so if you're
Yeah.
trying to get over there for a meeting,
Yeah.
that's now you miss your meeting, and then you're
Exactly.
waiting for your train to go back. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's tough. It's tough.
So I'll tell you, I think that the lowest hanging fruit there is, Lawrence is really close, and there's already rail there. And imagine if you just had steady rail traffic between Kansas City and Lawrence, and you could get some kid could hop on the train and go to a downtown baseball game. You wouldn't even have to get off you wouldn't just be able to walk, right? Or,
That'd be
you
incredible.
know, s- opens up intern opportunities. It lures these graduates back into the city and makes them want to stay. So
Absolutely.
we got to look anywhere. But to me, that seems like the most
For
natural
sure.
first.
For sure. I mean, one of the biggest problems that Missouri has is that we are hemorrhaging young people.
Oh my gosh.
Anything we can do to keep young folks, living and working in our state, I am all for. And I do think that better transportation options is a huge piece of the puzzle.
I agree, and I still do now that I'm not in the legislature, but I almost used to just take it personally when I'd hear some neighbor kid is going to some, I'll pick on the University of Arkansas because they kick our butts, right?
Hmm.
So, anytime I would hear that, and it's a great school and it's a beautiful part of the country, and they've done a really good job making it affordable for people. So credit to them where credit is due. It's a great place, but it still hurts, right? I want them to stay
Right.
here,
Right.
to stay local, and then
Absolutely.
get a job local and marry somebody local,
Hmm.
and stay here for a really long time and make our community better. So I would love to figure out a way to keep more people local, and our out of state tuition is really expensive, and I think that hurts. And I know because we don't have enough money in the state
Yep.
budget, there's only so far
That's exactly right.
it'll
That's
go.
exactly
But
right. Yeah.
anyway, I'm just ranting at this point because I like them staying here. Okay, so I've got to ask, because somebody who's been in politics, knows the ins and outs, understands Kansas City, understands Jefferson City, what would you be looking for in a mayor of Kansas City?
I think that a successful mayor of Kansas City is someone who, I'm going to go back to it, partners well with the state, someone who can build those relationships. We're seeing a shift, and, I don't want to speak too much about St. Louis politics because it's not my business.
Me neither.
But we have seen a shift, with the new mayor, Kara
Yep.
Spencer, and her relationship with our governor, especially in the aftermath of the tornadoes and how they were forced to work together almost immediately. And those are the sorts of things that I think set a local municipality up for success. So, having a mayor who can work with all sorts of people and folks from all walks of life feel represented by. I think that that's huge. I also think that a mayor being just sort of a cheerleader for the city. And I think our mayor. Being in love with Kansas City, as the rest of us are, is so important.
That's a
And
really good way to put it.
I mean,
Yeah.
really, it is. I mean, you got to love what you do. You got to love the community you represent. You got to love the people who are doing the work every single day to make this an incredible place to be. And yeah, that's what I'm looking for in my next mayor.
Yeah. Makes sense to me. I remember the first time we met was at one of Maggie Nuremberg's fundraisers,
Yep.
and you'd kind of recently gotten involved in politics. And there was zero, now that you're the minority leader going into your second term, there's zero doubt in my mind that you have been successful for a variety of different reasons. It's been fun to see it. But I know how great you are. I imagine most people listening to this podcast are familiar with you. But if they wanted to follow you on social media, how would they do it?
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for that. That's very kind. Ashley from Missouri. That's where you can find me pretty much on all my socials. AshleyFromMissouri.com. It's my website. Follow along. I've been yelling about Amendment 5 for months, and I'll continue to do it through August 4th, and I look forward to it being defeated.
Ashley, thank you so much for being here. We're still getting this going, so you're still kind of a test subject. And the best thing about having a good friend on early is you'll tell me what was good and what was bad and what we need to
Yes.
keep working on.
I look forward to the critique.
Yeah. But for real, thank you for being here. It's really fun.
Thanks for having me.